besties, welcome to my April reading wrap up. You guys know the drill. Today we're going to be going through the books that I read in the month of April. You guys would have seen I didn't film a March reading wrap up because I was like in the biggest reading slump ever, and I think I only read like 2 books. So I'm going to mention those 2 books in this video. So we're going to be doing a combined April and March reading wrap up. But hopefully you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what your favorite book that you read this month was, and let's jump right into it. So I have 3 physical books to talk about, and then the other 2, one of them I have no idea where the book is, and the other one I guess you could say I read it as an audiobook, so I'll mention that as well. The first book that I have here is Our Secrets and Scars by Maisie Myers. This is a prison pen pal romance, and I think it pretty much has like the fated mates trope. I don't know if that's the best way to describe the trope in this book, but basically we follow Kingsley and Fletcher. So Kingsley has just gone through a lot of trauma in her past, and her therapist is like, maybe you should start a pen pal thing. So what does she do? She decides to find a pen pal in prison and write letters to him, and they end up falling in love. They've been like writing each other for 4 years, and then there's like all communication stops, but they both are in love with each other before they've even met. Years go by, you're in the present tense, and they kind of reunite again, even though neither of them know what the other looks like. So that's where I'm getting like the fated mates trope. I really enjoyed this book. The only thing I wish this book had was, I wish it was longer, because I feel like it needed to be a little bit longer, especially after the plot twist came towards the end. But one of my favorite things about this book is that because obviously Kingsley and Fletcher write letters to each other, you actually got copies of the letters like properly written out, and that was one of my favorite things about reading this book. Plus I love the writing. I don't know what it is about Maisie Myers, but her writing just feels very poetic. I love it. It's just like, feels like you're reading Pinterest quotes almost. Like, her writing is just beautiful. And on top of that, after I finished reading the book, I read the acknowledgements, which I don't really do too often, but I read it this one-off time. And the sweet Maisie Myers, you guys know, I was obsessed with her debut novel, The Truth About Love. That is one of my favorite books. It made it on my top 10 favorites of 2022, and I talk about it all the time on Instagram and YouTube. And this is her 2nd book that she's released, and in her little acknowledgements she actually thanked myself and Ali, who is one of my best friends that I share a bookstagram with, and she had actually mentioned us in the acknowledgements, which is like so cute, like so sweet. I was not expecting that at all, but literally made my day after I finished reading this book. I was like, that's so sweet. Overall, I'd probably give this book a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Cannot wait for her new release to come out. I think it comes out next month. Yeah, I think it comes out next month, but I really enjoyed this book. Then I have Desperate Measures by Katie Robert. This was actually on my April TBR. This is for the spicy book trope. So this is a Disney dark romance reimagining. This is Jafar and Jasmine, and this book, I will say, it is definitely spicy, because from page 0, it's like very beginning to the very end, it was just spice the entire time. And for me, I feel like I need a book that is gonna have good plot and good characters, and spice to kind of be like secondary in there. Otherwise I get so bored so easily and I cringe. And spice in this book was alright, but I wasn't feeling it, unfortunately. So I think I rated this like 2.5 or 2 stars from memory. I don't really know, but I will say it's a pretty quick book. Like, it's only about 213 pages. So if you're just looking for something that's like really short and you love spicy books, you definitely should check this out. Just keep in mind there's not really much of a plot, and the characters are pretty bland. So yeah, do with that what you will, but I rated it 2.5 stars. And then I read Listen to Your Heart by Casey West. This is a young adult coming of age book, and it has romance as like a very minor subplot. So we follow Kate, who is very much an introvert, and her and her best friend are in this podcast class together, and she actually gets picked to be one of the hosts on the school podcast. But she's like very shy and introverted, so at the start She's just like, I don't want to do it, I won't be a good host, I'm like very awkward. And then she ends up falling in love with hosting and like giving out advice, and she kind of, it's like this coming of age of her like coming out of her shell and like, you know, finding what she loves and experiencing new things and also finding love along the way. The romance in this book, I wasn't really feeling, to be honest, especially because the guy in this book, Kate's best friend, is actually in love with. So it was like, was that really necessary to have that included in there? Because it was just really weird. I enjoyed like maybe the first 50%, and then the last 50% I was kind of getting bored because it felt a little bit repetitive. I gave this one 3 stars. Then I read the prequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, which was Killjoy. So that was a little novella. I love the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. It is one of my favorites, one of my favorite series that I read last year. I binged it within a month. It was so good. So Killjoy is basically a little prequel that happened before the series of events in the Good Girl's Guide to Murder trilogy. So we follow Pip, who is the main character from the 3 books, and her and her friends are playing this game of Killjoy, which is kind of like a real life Cluedo situation, and I love Cluedo. So it was like really fun to read Cluedo in real life. And also I feel like the ending of the novella was the perfect setup to start the first book of the Good Girl's Guide to Murder. You definitely don't need to read the novella to read the actual 3 books though. It's more like an accompaniment. But I did give this one 3 stars. It was good, but again, I feel like it didn't really add too much for the story, but it was kind of like a fun little novella. Definitely would have preferred a novella as like an extended epilogue to As Good as Dead, because I have so many questions. So I really hope Holly Jackson either writes a 4th book or writes a little novella for an extended epilogue, because I need to know more. I need a full-on extended epilogue because I need closure after what happened at the end of As Good as Dead. So Holly Jackson, please. Just give me what I want. Okay, I think this is the fastest I have ever filmed a reading wrap up, but that is literally because I've only read 5 books in the last 2 months. But I would say that's not too bad considering I've been in a bit of a slump. But the last book that I have to talk about is a little novella again, and it's called Protective by Sin Sable. Technically, I didn't read, I mean, I guess you could classify this as an audiobook because I had this book read to me, but like an unofficial audiobook. Yeah, anyways, I can't really remember what this book was about, so I'm just gonna read the synopsis. So I was okay with renting the 2nd floor of my home on short notice, but I thought it was to a man. A small typo has given me more than I bargained for. A curvaceous blonde woman as a tenant who's so beautiful I can't keep my eyes off her. It wouldn't be an issue if I had sworn off women after my ex married my best friend 2 years ago. What's worse is I know she's running from something, bringing out my protective side immediately. I want to know her, every part of her, but she's got a past that seems to be interfering with our future. I know I'm gonna find out about it and do everything I can to keep her safe. The real question is, will I be able to keep my hands to myself? So this is classified as a spicy small town romance. It is a small town romance, but I feel like it wasn't super spicy for a book that's like, says that it is a spicy, like a really spicy book. I think I would probably give it like a 2.5 chili peppers for spice rating. And then the actual rating of the book, I literally don't even remember much about this book at all because I was half asleep while listening to the book. So I think I rated it like, well, Goodreads says that I rated this book 3 stars. So I'm just gonna say 3 stars for the book. But my favorite book definitely that I read from the last 2 months was Our Secrets and Scars. It was so good. I think the main reason though that I've been in a bit of a reading slump is because I haven't had a 5-star in a while. So I need to find a book that I'm gonna rate 5 stars because I feel like when that happens, I'm gonna be out of this reading slump. So fingers crossed. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching my April/March reading wrap up. I know this video was super quick, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it nonetheless. If you did, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel down below. I post new videos every single week, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!